War is hell, but Justice League Warworld is a movie. Justice League Warworld, released in 2023 and is directed by Jeff Warnister, who has also directed other entries in the new DC animated Tomorrowverse, Justice Society World War II, Green Lantern Beware My Power, and Legion of Superheroes. And this film is starring the voices of Jensen Ackles, Stana Katic, Darian Criss, Ike Amati, Troy Baker, John DiMaggio, Robin Atkin Downes, and Teddy Sears. The DC trinity of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman have been plugged into three different gladiatorial scenarios: Wonder Woman in the Old West, Batman on the world of Skitaris, and Superman plugged into the 1950s. But all three of them realize that something is off with their surroundings, and they soon realize that they are on one of the greatest weapons in the entire universe called Warworld. So now these three struggle to regain their memories and to break free from their captivity. This is one of the animated features that DC has been promoting and has produced that I was actually really excited for. I love the concept of Warworld. When I watched the Justice League cartoon series from the early 2000s, they had a Warworld episode where Mongol came in, he took Superman captive, and he didn't have powers, and he thought that he was growing up with his family and having friends. I like the idea of trapping these heroes in these really just pleasurable ideas while they either suck out their powers or, in this case, put them in gladiatorial combat with other characters that we have never seen before in animated features or in films. Well, I mean, I guess they did make a Jonah Hex movie years ago, but I believe that wasn't even an hour long, and everyone just... Let's just forget about that one, shall we? Let's forget. I mean, I forgot, and then I just reminded myself, so I need to forget again for that Jonah Hex movie. But this continues the new rebirth of the DC animated universe. Before, we were kind of in the New 52 concept and the artist renderings, but then after Apocalypse War, the Flash went back and really just changed everything, and now we're in the Tomorrowverse, which was named after the first entry, which was Superman Man of Tomorrow, which I think this is connected to, but there are some cameos in here from Lobo and John Jones, Martian Manhunter, who were also in that movie. But in here, it kind of seemed like they didn't know who each other was. It was like they never met before. So I was a little confused with that. Like, what's the continuity there? I mean, when it comes to DC and films nowadays, like, continuity, schmontinuity, what is that? No one's giving us any goddamn answers. But I will say that I do prefer this animation style over what we were getting in the original DC animated universe in the New 52 style. Here, everything is brighter, everything is bolder, the colors are bolder, and the outlines of our characters have these bold black outlines, almost like you're reading a comic book. I love that animation style. I love the voice casting that they have with these characters. I like that they're keeping the same voice cast going along. Jensen Ackles, I think, voices a great Batman. Some may say he would make a fine live-action Batman. And if Peter Safran and James Gunn say that, oh, the animated features are also going to be part of the new DC film universe going forward, so we're going to have the same actors voice the animated stuff and all the video games, then, I mean, you might as well just make Jensen Ackles Batman, I'm just saying. But there is a lot to love about this film, and I love the action. I love that we're taking like a hard R when it comes to these DC properties. The stuff with the Batman story in here with the Warlord, I think, is great. It's a lot of great, like, savage stuff and fighting dinosaurs. But there's also evil wizards, and I like how we go throughout this film, and we start off with Wonder Woman. She does her own storyline, and then she starts to realize that she can't think of who she is and where she comes from, and then we go into the Batman series, and then this random character shows up who kind of looks Wonder Woman-esque, who also doesn't know who they are. And then once the Batman story goes along, we go into the Superman story, and then we have Batman and we have Wonder Woman in there as well, also not realizing who they are, where their memories are. And I love that we're focusing on the DC Trinity and just establishing this brand new trilogy for this brand new universe. We're setting these characters up to be the biggest characters, the biggest heroes in this universe. I appreciate that. What is frustrating with this film, though, is that the ending just really comes out of nowhere. If any of you are familiar with the term Deus Ex Machina, I use that in my theater classes. It's a literary literary tool used in novels and plays and in films, where if you're in a bind or if you need something resolved because the film or the story needs to end, you bring in a deus ex machina, which means God from the machine, and this thing, this person, whatever, kind of just comes in and says, okay, that's resolved, that's resolved, that's resolved, and now we have the resolution, and now you can end your story. You can see Deus Ex Machina really in any movie, or in any play, or in any film. If it's done well, though, it's not as noticeable. But when it's done in the way that this film did it, where this random person shows up and says, come, stop, I need all three of you. Come with me. There's another problem. And then they teleport to another thing, and then the whole conflict that they were doing on Warworld, like, Warworld ends, and then she's like, well, we have another crisis that we're looking at that I need your help on. So we're gonna go to that movie. Obviously building towards a Crisis on Infinite Earths film, which I believe they announced earlier this year. But I hate it when the idea behind either a comic book film, an animated superhero film like this, where the concept is, everything has to be connected. So if we're coming to the end of this story, now we gotta do something that connects it to the next one. And I just hate that mindset behind really just any film. A film should have a beginning, middle, and end, and should stand on itself. Yes, it can fit into a grander universe, like the MCU, like what they have done over the last decade. They've done it very well. But when you make a movie as really a placeholder to get to the next movie, I hate that. The movie should stand on its own, and this movie definitely does not stand on its own because its ending kind of just comes out of nowhere. So my mindset is, well, if you were just building towards Crisis on Infinite Earths, then why don't we just wait for Crisis on Infinite Earths? I can do that. I'm a patient person. So if this story really means nothing in the grand scheme of things, then why did we waste our frickin' time with it? And I hate saying that. I don't think this film is a total waste of time, but really just in the grand scheme of the Tomorrowverse, this new DC animated universe, I mean, yeah, it didn't really play into anything. We had this superpower weapon called Warworld that could have played into other aspects, could have played into Crisis on Infinite Earths, and now it's just gone. And nothing came of it, nothing changed from it, no one came out of it as different people or better people, everyone just kind of stayed the same. So, was this film worth it? I think this film is worth it just from the story standpoint. Seeing these characters in these different eras I think is really cool. Seeing a cowboy Wonder Woman, a barbarian Batman, and then Clark Kent from the 1950s, that's not too much of a stretch. But it's still cool to see him in black and white and being that little detective reporter. Justice League Warworld definitely has some great aspects about it. Just know going in, if you venture in watching this film, that you're not going to get a big resolution, and it's just going to lead you into the next film that we have to wait another year for, and I just didn't know why we didn't just go to that one if this one didn't do anything. Oh god, it's a nice event though. I'm going to give Justice League Warworld 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
So guys, if you've seen Justice League Warworld, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.